This is how you make Libby's Luscious chocolate cake. It's basically like a big Hostess cake. So for this chocolate cake, we're going to be using Hershey's Perfectly chocolate cake recipe. I use this every time I make this cake. However, sometimes I alter it, but this one will be pretty much the exact recipe. For this cake, you are going to need 2 cups of sugar, 1 3/4 cups of flour, 3/4 cups of cocoa powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder and baking soda, 1 teaspoon salt, 2 eggs, 1 cup of milk, a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Susan from the Flexible Fridge blog talks about how precise baking is compared to cooking, which I totally agree, and that's what sometimes makes arguably baking harder than cooking. However, I believe this is the one ingredient where you don't really have to be too precise because it's all about taste. Sometimes I add a little bit extra. And finally, 1 cup of boiling water. Catherine Sachs from Epicurus also discusses how different alterations in baking can change it, but you also want to still stay precise, especially when baking instead of cooking. Another thing to consider while baking is different altitudes. If you're in Colorado versus here in Illinois or Kentucky, baking something, your things might come out a little different, so you have to adjust your oven or how you have the ingredients. Fortunately for me, I can keep the recipe straight as it is. Now in a large mixing bowl, you want to combine the sugar, flour, cocoa powder, baking powder, baking soda, and salt. Once that's all combined, you're going to add the wet ingredients: eggs, milk, oil, vanilla. Mix that together. Then you're going to add your boiling water, and don't worry, the batter will be very thin. This is good. Then add the batter to your prepared cake pans, even it out. Again, it's going to be very thin. Knock those air bubbles out if you want. Stick those bad boys into the oven for 30 minutes or until your toothpick comes out clean. For the buttercream frosting, you're going to need a large mixing bowl, 4 cups of powdered sugar, 1 cup of butter or 2 sticks. Mix that all together until you get a nice texture. And then I froze my cakes overnight. You don't have to do that, so I'm just taking them out here so they can thaw a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. My dog loves the frosting. And 2 to 4 tablespoons of whipping cream. I did about 2.5 and it came out well, but depending on your texture, you can always add more. Now I'm going to assemble the cake with the frosting in the middle. This cake is not for looks, it's strictly for taste, so it doesn't have to be gorgeous, but I went ahead and smoothed out the frosting a little bit. For the ganache topping, we'll need chocolate chips and whipping cream, 1 cup of chocolate chips and 1 cup of whipping cream. First, go ahead and boil your whipping cream, then pour that over the chocolate chips and let it sit for 10 minutes. Once it's sat, go ahead and give it a stir until it's nice and smooth and glossy. Then we're going to go ahead and pour it over the cake. I should have let mine sit for an extra minute or 2 because it came out pretty thin, but there you have it.
Yum, yum, yummy, yummy.
Is that good?
Yum.